I'm a kill this fan.
Oh yeah. And
Hanging out just another night of the week. Or to be more specific, it's a Tuesday Eve. Got some ideas that just might intrigue. You should come on by tonight. We're spilling the beans. That jingle holds up, I think.
it
Oh,
really
yeah.
does.
Love it.
1 1 1 1. I think we're good.
You good?
Oh yeah.
Well, excellent. Thanks for joining. Spilling the beans. We have a pretty fun episode. I don't know if Milton's on yet. I sent it out, but he requested something on UFOs or paranormal. We will have another one, and he did request. Oh, I'll give you a little more slack on that, Kaylee. Here we go.
Thank you.
He'd like to guest star on it, so maybe we'll have that ready for him next time he's in the area. That sounds
Oh, yeah.
fun.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, today's podcast is on is a fun one, paranormal stuff.
Yep.
And we'll get to the idea in a second, but yeah, I love paranormal stuff, right? Like UFOs, ghosts, things like that.
Mm.
And I'm not like a very like in regards to belief and such. I'm a little more cold, but I love talking about it, thinking about it.
More of a skeptic.
Would you consider like all of that stuff paranormal, or are you just referring to like just sort of things that maybe we haven't seen that people believe, more conspiracy type stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean like ghosts. I mean the big thing for me is it's what is paranormal. I'm sure the Latin term, but it's not normal, right? It's like this
Mm.
other form of normality. Not necessarily science, but is more evidence, especially for UFOs, other things. But at the same time, I don't want to get too wrapped up into it, but at the, I mean, but I also would consider other things that might be more
Bigfoot.
faith-based. Well, Bigfoot, I
Mothman.
mean, Mothman.
It says beyond things that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding.
That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
so that
pretty-
that covers everything.
That's awesome. That's a
lot.
huge thing right there.
Whenever I hear the term paranormal, I immediately think of like ghosts and maybe even like maybe spiritual stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
But I guess by that definition, it covers an awful lot. It covers,
Yeah.
Everything from the Loch Ness monster to
Well, like you said, Bigfoot or
yeah,
UFOs.
it's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Mothman.
Right. And
The Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil is a really cool one. Yeah, and so no, I mean, I'm surely spooky things have happened to me, which I guess based on that definition, I could claim as paranormal. But I don't know. What do you think, Kaylee? What's your take on paranormal stuff?
Well, before I say anything, I found this other from the Journal of Neuropsychiatry. Paranormal experiences might be considered a subset of these neurogenic processes. Experiences that are labeled as or attributed to paranormal phenomena are frequently dominated by a sensed presence. 2, appear to involve the acquisition of information from distances beyond those normally obtained by the classical senses. And 3, implied distortions in physical time. So that's like how it's, because then it also explains they're created by like the matrix of chemical and electromagnetic events in the brain.
Whoa.
So that's like remember that movie, remember the movie The Witch?
Yes.
Like when the kid, so that's like early, what was it, like 1800s or
even
before that?
Well, even before that, I think, yeah, early settlement times.
When the kid is like, they think he's like possessed and stuff, like that kid could have had some kind of like neurological thing going on where he was like seizing or having some kind of like episode from, if you look at it from like a scientific perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like it could have been something that was actually like,
Except for the apple that came out of his throat.
well, that could have been something that their brains manifested because
Right.
he's going
Together?
through, yeah, you know, like a shared delusion because
Yeah.
he's going through this very traumatic thing. And now the apple represents what's the apple, like the tree of knowledge thing.
There you go. Yeah.
Then he spits out the apple,
Right.
and they're just learning of like this. Maybe it was just a disease that they didn't know. at
Maybe
the
he ate a
time.
bad apple.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think a
You know,
lot
yeah.
of
He just
Oops, sorry. Yeah, right.
I think a lot of those early where they would diagnose someone with being possessed or something like that had a lot to do with their food
Mhm.
and how their food wasn't well preserved.
Mm.
And they would end up eating this bacteria that would
Right.
kind of eat away at their brain
Or cause
and would
hallucination.
cause hallucinations,
yeah.
and they're basically tripping.
Yeah, wheat
Yeah.
and rye. I think if it there's a mold that forms on that, which is not far from
Like acid.
psilocybin acid kind of effects. Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy that there was a point in time when like that's really what they believed was going on, and it wasn't that long ago,
No,
which is very
in
bizarre.
the grand scheme, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been that way for the people still are like of that same even thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Demons, possessions, like people, and there are like strange. There's not enough video evidence for me. I love reading the stories because they're scary.
Yeah.
You know, I love reading certain stories, but it's not enough video evidence for me of possession.
Right.
I actually would. I believe in it more because of the films, like Exorcist.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's one of the scariest movies still to this day that I could watch, and I believe it when watching that film. I believe in this. I don't know. Like they almost made it a real thing for me. You know, that belief. But
when you look at the real stuff, it's just like
this person, somebody needs to bring this person to a hospital, not, have them, trying to get healed or exercised. Or there's all kinds of, and you go down a rabbit hole of like religion and people do believe it. Like it's part of their faith. So to even say, I don't believe in demons or possession, can kind of combat someone else's faith in a sense. And it's not even necessarily like I might even believe in it. There's just a metaphor to me, a more scientifical or logical, maybe not even a paranormal approach to it. That sounds like there might be some science involved or something, but
that's interesting that like there's sort of a division, right, with like some of it's spiritual, right, and then there's a division of people that maybe just believe in ghosts. But it's interesting how like sort of the way they intertwine is ultimately everyone in all of those different groups, if you will, believe in a spirit.
Right.
You know, where I would like people that believe in just ghosts, I think tend not to be religious. And people that would believe in, something more like demons or something, possessions, exorcism, like they're more religious. But it's funny how they're all kind of interested in the same thing, the one thing. Whether you call it a spirit or a soul or whatever.
Interdimensional being, stuff like that. Yeah,
that's interesting.
And sci-fi, so paranormal, this idea, and a reason it's also so appropriate, such an appropriate topic for the show, and will no doubt come up again. It'd be fun if we had other, just like paranormal part 1, 2, 3, or whatever. But the ideas that come off of it, like I just mentioned, like also one of my most favorite films is The Exorcist. Beautiful piece of work, based around, and that's really cool. Some of the best like action movies. Your favorite movie, Alien, Abel. Do you have a favorite like paranormal, even if it's horror or anything, movie?
Poltergeist a lot.
Poltergeist is like the Jurassic Park of paranormal activity, and it's done by Stephen King as well. So, or Steven Spielberg, right? Yeah. Really good. Close Encounters. I mean, when you get into the UFO parts of stuff, just solid. So, and then anything in between that's either campy or fun or action packed. You know, I was talking to a buddy today about Independence Day
Oh,
and
God.
how that was, and may even still be like his favorite movie because it really is an crazy, awesome action movie. And when you watch it now, even it's ridiculous. Like the president's line, like his big, it's really corny,
Mm.
but it's also good. It's like entertaining at almost every single scene. Um, and so yeah, it's such an attractive thing. And so I guess we can bring it into the ideas too that we had for him.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
The ideas. Yeah.
Abel had you want to explain your idea for your show?
Yeah.
And it's funny because it actually goes into an idea that Kaylee and I had from a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I was watching with Shelby. We were watching this. The name escapes me, but it's one of these ghost hunter type shows.
Maybe it's called Ghost Hunters.
Oh, Shelby said The Conjuring, and she said ghosts are real.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, Conjuring is an
The
amazing
Conjuring. Yeah,
1 and 2 awesome movies.
yeah. But we were watching one of those paranormal shows,
Like hunting shows,
and
like reality.
one of the funniest things, like off the rip, that I noticed was there was like when you click on one of these, there's like 20 seasons of like 40 episodes
Oh my
each,
gosh.
and they're so like thrown together. It's really funny. And so they find these haunted places or whatever, and you know, they're running around. They have these little like little light things that make beeps and boops when like you know, ghosts come or whatever. You know, it's really like silly. But I thought that you know, because you never see anything. Right. My
Oh, no, of
point, my
course.
point to there being that much stuff, like they had all sorts of ones. Mothman, they had all of them. But
Oh, so they would go to like different locations
all different
for like sightings
locations,
and stuff.
all
That sounds
paranormal
pretty
things.
fun.
There were
Yeah.
so many of them. They did everything under the sun,
Yeah.
like the Jersey Devil, everything. But you never see anything, right? Except
Yeah.
for like they show like
What was that shadow?
security cam footage
Yep.
and like the most degraded footage they can show,
Yeah.
and then they
Artifacts.
yeah. But I just thought, like, wouldn't it be, because they're really corny, right? They're like, you know, we're gonna go to this abandoned, dilapidated building. It's kind of like documentary style, a little bit, really like low budget camera work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
Yep.
one guy running around. And I just thought it would be so funny if we did one of those shows. But kind of the fun part about it would, you know, we'd have to shoot it in the same exact way. Corny
Yeah.
intros,
Handhelds.
you know, corny cutscenes when commercials come on, you know, all that stuff. But like something crazy actually happens,
Mm-hmm.
but we make it look, I guess, as real as possible by using kind of those like cheap video cameras and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it would be hilarious if, you know, they were in this building and it was haunted and like nothing's happening the whole episode, and then like out of nowhere, like one person's like head explodes or something, you know, and it's just like really like gory and right, and then people are like freaking out because they didn't expect anything to happen. But then people are like losing their mind or whatever, and then like, you know, it could just like cut and it'd be like, next time on Ghost Hunting, you know?
Yeah.
All new cast, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, like, but like the thing actually happens, you know what I mean? And but you play it off as if it's like a real thing that people are
Right.
looking for. And so people are
Oh,
expecting to
man.
see nothing, right? That's
That
what they
is so
expect
good.
when they see those shows. They're like expecting to see nothing, but trying to trick themselves into seeing something.
Because they try to get scared, right? That's the idea. They put these cameras,
Yeah.
and it's a scary setting. The
Yeah.
settings are terrifying. They sometimes get
Yeah.
cavernous, and so they're a little bit,
Yeah.
they're a little bit like claustrophobic and dark. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. Now, is this the same one where? Now, this made me laugh because sometimes also there's, and this is a whole other part of it all, mediums. So there's like somebody in the group. Sometimes it's like a team. Sometimes
Mhm.
who's got like some kind of medium experience. Which
When
is
you say medium, what do you?
a medium is someone who can balance between
Two realms.
Oh, yeah, someone that-
living, so they can talk to
Yeah,
they can
right.
talk
Yeah,
to
there was one
relatives and such. Yeah, so one show
professional.
medium, right? And so
Yeah.
they get like they're sensitive apparently to like certain fields and certain feelings. It's really in depth too. It's pretty interesting, and so they have like a medium in the group. Now, this one guy was a medium, I think, or sensitive, and he like was jacked. He was like really cut. And I can't. And this is real. He had like a Taps like MMA shirt on a lot. He like, sporting
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Taps, and he had cut off sleeves showing off like his guns. He had kind of like NSYNC haircut, like with the flip up here, and like
Okay.
looked really solid. And he'd be like, "Where you at?" He'd be at like Lizzie Borden's house in the basement.
Okay.
He's like, "Fuck you out! I'm calling you out. You hack my head off." And he's like, "Where are you? Wait, what was that?" And
Yeah.
then it's
There's
all,
so much there.
and,
What was that?
yeah, and it's all like night shots, right? So it's like it's night vision of the
Right. Yeah, they
cameras.
have tons of
So when they
night
turn
vision.
around, their eyes are like these glowing. They look like it looks like a National Geographic show or something, like trying to catch like a certain. And he's like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "What was that?" He's like, "I'm feeling really weird right now." And then they try to get you there. They're like, "I'm feeling something though." What was that?
Yeah.
There's acting. It's so good. And so like, yeah, if your show was like they are doing all of that, but
Right.
then something actually comes through.
Something actually happens.
Yeah. You could go so many ways with that, like accidental. Yeah. And well, so that goes into, and when Abel told me this, I was like, this is very similar to an idea that Kaylee and I had, which was sparked from this thought that my friend that Goodwin and I had, which was like, what if you went, because I had gone to another friend of ours, and I had gone to a solstice, fall, I think autumn solstice or summer solstice or something,
Or like the
pagan rituals and stuff, and it was really awesome. It was most of it was really really cool, but it was also very very interesting, just weird, just bizarre. I would definitely say it was a paranormal night. Um, and I was explaining all this stuff to another friend, and I was like, this happened and this happened, and it was kind of paranoid. Like at one point, I was like a drummer in that in
Oh,
this
geez,
in
the
this thing.
drum
Yeah,
circle.
I was playing in the drum circle, and the smoke and this huge bonfire occurred. It was massive. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, it's getting a bit too much even. But people started dancing and they were naked, around the
Okay.
fire. And I was like, okay, that's, this is a pagan ritual. This is what's going on. People were already starting to get a little wild, but it looked like younger people.
Hmm.
And I remember like I was single at the time thinking like, oh, there's not really anybody like my age, like here, but dancing around the fire, and I remember being like, I wasn't like lit or anything. I remember being quite sober. And I was like, where did all these people come from? Like these pretty young people, right? Fire dies down. I actually had to leave because the smoke got so crazy. I couldn't even see. I didn't know whether I was walking towards the fire or away. I was like, this
Oh,
is
geez.
very, very dangerous. Get out, coughing, laughing, and it's all over and everybody's celebrating. And then it's all these like older naked people.
Ugh.
And I'm looking kind of for like I saw like younger men and women, and I was like, where are all these? It was very strange. So that was weird. And then a bunch of other weird stuff, which was kind of,
I feel like they put stuff on the fire.
they definitely, oh man, that'd be weird. The
Definitely.
beer was
Yep.
like homemade. So it was like a weird
Oh,
mead.
yeah.
It was a strange
Yeah.
mead. It was a very interesting night, but I remember being like sober, like with it still, and all these strange, and same with Dan. And so, and when we left, it took us about a half hour to absorb what all had happened. And we just started laughing because it was so wild. We couldn't even explain what we were laughing at. But so I told another friend about this, and he said, well, what if like it was like one of those culty things, like a culty gathering? And like it was, you always hear about these cults, like the mothership is coming back, they're coming back to it,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's Anunnaki or, all of these different things of like ancient aliens and stem offs of all that. And our friend Goodwin says, he's like, well, what if it like actually happened? And we start talking, and I'm like, yeah, what if? And then Kaylee says that'd be a great show. And so we're talking like, what if you were to go to like some occult thing? Yeah, here come the aliens, but you're actually like there to like just party, have some beer, hang out with people. Yeah, they're coming. And they're all like, it's time, and they all run over, and like an actual mothership like comes and
Yeah.
starts to just like ray people, like just like disintegrate people, but people are like running towards it, and the two friends who showed up like ditch their beers and start running away from it, like, and just you could just imagine the look of, frightenedness on someone, like seeing that coming to, this is like actually real, like that moment of reality,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so Kaylee said that'd be a great show, like people who go around and they just visit cults, but like actual stuff actually happens in these cults.
Yeah, it'd be funny if like, like, yeah, this has been happening for like 100 years. Aliens have been coming here for like 100 years.
Right.
And like, meanwhile, outside of those cults, like no one's been able to like really document an alien. And we just see like these little shitty footages
Blips,
of
yeah.
like this little ball flying around the sky.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then they find out like, oh, this has just been happening for 100
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
They just come. Yeah.
Or even if it's like a thing like every 1,000 years, and the last time all this was documented was in like paintings or something,
Mm.
something like that. You can get into the whole ancient alien thing. But yeah, and imagine that if you do go down that route, even with your reality TV show, you could go into like, oh, we're sitting in on like an occult, um, you know, maybe there's like a ritual. They're trying to rebirth something, and that thing actually shows up and just starts tearing up the room, and then like goes to like the hard rock and roll, like at the end, like coming up next week.
Yeah.
That
Next
is
time on.
yeah.
Yeah. How about the River Monsters one? You ever see that one?
Yeah, I
It's
remember
so
that. Yeah.
bizarre. It's like they're looking for this monster in the water,
Mhm.
and you like you never see anything, but they do have like reveals of it
hmm
when they spot it, and it's always a catfish.
Yeah, huge catfish, a
It's
really
always
big
just like a
catfish.
big
Yeah.
catfish. It's just like, this is it. This is the river monster
Yeah.
everybody's been waiting for. Just a catfish.
That'll suck on your arm real bad. Might take your fingers off.
So
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. And there were some that were creepy looking. They were like large kind of fish-like snakes in some of them. But yeah, it's just not enough to at least hold me for that stuff. But X-Files was something that actually utilized, it wasn't real, right? But it utilized real, it's very intricate, especially
Yeah.
its UFO story with the government. But that's a good example of just taking it over that reality TV show. But I think like that kind of sitcomish reality TV show that fits underneath like What We Do in the Shadows,
Mm,
that kind of mockumentary
documentary
type thing.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's even better because you have that wall of like carelessness, like next week, like that whole cast and crew.
I feel like you would need to hire a crew that made those shows and then just not tell them that you're going to have one point where like some shit happens and just see what happens with them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Definitely.
just see
Like,
how they react.
Yeah, make it like an actual, wow. Well, that's almost like setting it up. Like,
Yeah.
you're on camera, but we're
Yeah.
also going to use that as a reason. There's a big, green block there. We're going to put
Yeah.
a werewolf or something there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And they actually do everything under the sun, but they repeat a lot of things.
They repeat them all the time.
So
yeah.
there are other things that are even more like deep cut, you know what I mean? Other lores. Like there's so much lore. Like you can go to so many mystical. I think I gave Shelby a book of demonology book, and it's from all different types of cultures, and it's really, really cool. I mean, you can go anywhere with that. And I'm at the point where I'm thinking we should start like maybe writing scripts and just have an idea of like, how would we do this? Yeah. And you could have almost anything also happen at the end. It doesn't even have to be.
Well, the thing is, I think the pitfall we'd run into is that we couldn't have it happen the same way every episode.
Like they get killed every episode.
Like
well, you would need a new cast and like a new person every single episode. But that would be hilarious.
But
if you
like
did.
it would almost be like the who oh my god, you killed Kenny moment. But I feel like if it happens at the same time, everything, I think we'd have to get really clever with how like maybe off the bat, like something would happen right away.
Yeah.
And then they just couldn't get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we'd have to be really clever when we wrote them in order to not make it like super formulaic.
Yeah.
Like we have the whole first 25 minutes of nothing happening, and then the thing at the end. I feel like that would turn into like a formula where
Well, it would get as
it would
boring
get
as those
boring.
shows,
Yeah, it
right?
would get as boring as those shows.
We could, I mean, I suppose then in that case, you could make it more mockumentary, slight behind the scenes, or like things that just aren't cut. You know what I mean? And they could be scenes, between the people.
Aren't there ones too where they are skeptics and they're like, we don't
So
believe
that's
it,
what this
right?
one played into. So how this one was. Wish I could remember the name of it. Maybe Shelby knows. Maybe she'll post if she's listening. How this one worked was they were not skeptics, but they would try to debunk all of the paranormal things that happened to people there.
Mhm.
They would try to debunk it.
Oh,
But it was it was like you're able to see through it very clearly where they were just trying to be like, use that as a tactic for when something did happen, which was usually
Expedition
those
X.
stupid, but yeah, it's such a stupid
Expedition
name.
X. That's wild. Yeah.
Stupid name. What's the one that's the paranormal one? There's if you look Expedition X up like on streaming,
Yeah.
there's like 20
Different like types?
different types.
Wow.
And each one of them has like 30
Oh,
episodes
man.
in each season, which
That's
has like
wild.
20 seasons.
That's
It's
excellent.
insane. I mean, they bang these together in like one night. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, I mean, there's not too much to it when you think about it.
And it's always the same thing. It's the little lights with the beeps and boops. That's the proof. There's nothing
So
else.
yeah, you can buy that equipment online.
Or like a shadow. You saw a shadow in a picture or something.
Yeah, they go back. They like look at footage back, but look at what's in the reflection of this picture as Mark passes by it, and like it's like a shadow of someone else that's like behind him or something.
Yeah, right.
And it's like a shot of all of them looking at it.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, what is that? We got it.
And then they went off the rails and they brought like this just out of nowhere. The main guy is like, "Oh, I had this machine made."
Oh,
And
Josh Gates.
yeah. And the machine can actually, it's so you can talk to the ghosts. And they talk back.
Whoa.
And it was clearly someone on the other end talking through. It's like a little amplifier.
That's great. I was gonna say, did Tesla make it? Because I mean, and
it was a little amplifier.
That's
all
wild.
it was.
Oh,
It's so silly.
We could do so the episode, then we could go off of that. We could have all of these funny gadgets. And we could have,
that's exactly what I was
and
thinking.
so we could have a bunch of funny gadgets, basically that look like they're from Ghostbusters. We could have something that actually is like from Ghostbusters.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be so good.
They're like, this thing has a ghost in it. And then someone drops it and like it goes, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
That would just a quick like drop and then they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yep.
Because all these people, even if you get the people that like really believe it, or the people that like are professionals in it, they still have never really seen anything, right?
Right.
It's still all just like in their head, but like definitive, like a ghost just like flies out of it.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, oh, like the realization that like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd be even better too if like it looked real, but it was still like a blanket or like a sheet ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like come on.
Like what?
That is what they look like, like they're just like all these sheets.
Yeah, that's where we would have to like focus our like creative energy on kind of things like that, because like if we do, just to avoid doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that's true. And then also utilizing fun things to do during the episodes, cool gadgets, or or like arguments. You could have also like guests, like
I was thinking
exorcists or something like that. Or
that's
like,
exactly right. Yeah, so like someone who's actually in that field.
Yes, right. Oh, I see
that
what you
is
were saying there. Oh, got it. Yeah,
that they. But
that's in the show.
But that's in the show.
I thought you meant like.
I think ultimately it would be kind of a prank show in the sense that like the people there, they're gonna go there, just kind of like tripping out on their brain, but really something's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess it'd be a lot of practical effects.
But yeah, there could be practical, but you could have a lot of fun with it. Like I see a lot of really basic, kind of scary digital, whether AI or otherwise, like really cool looking ideas. But I'm like, you could totally do that.
Yeah.
So like, what if like the last room they go into, it's like 40 sheets of ghosts of those like fake ghosts, you know what I mean? Or something really bizarre.
Mm.
And that's like, and it's like, what the fuck? And it all just, maybe they all come out or something like that. Camera drops. I don't know. But
Another funny thing, kind of going off of like the whole all new cast thing, like if they get introduced as like an all new cast, it could be like a funny running joke when they're like, yeah, what happened to the other cast?
Yeah,
You
and
know,
he,
like
like,
what
became
happened to the other
possessed.
people? And everyone is just like kind of like hush hush about it,
Yeah.
you know?
They or
And
like
then
they
when
go into
something
their
happens,
character.
they're like, you know,
Not again.
yeah.
Yeah. They all like look more and more tired, but the new person on is like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
I've seen ghosts. I know they're real. Everything this, everything that, and then like, and they just go to the other people. They're like, yeah, cameras are ready.
Yeah. Yeah. The camera crew's really depressed.
Yeah, right.
I can't
just
believe I'm walked
questioning
into
things.
this.
Yeah. Questioning things that happened.
Yeah.
It couldn't happen again. Werewolves aren't real, you know.
Yeah.
And then they go. I don't know.
Oh man, there's a lot of funny things you could do. But I guess ultimately those people would have to be, I feel like they couldn't be actor. Well, they have to be actors, but like
They couldn't be in on it.
they couldn't be in on it.
Mm.
I don't think they could.
That'd be tough. I mean, like in reality, getting someone to do that would be tough. But I think in the show too, if there was some kind of mock where we did get like someone who was supposed to be, let's say, like, I mean, I am ordained, and I'm ordained through Universal Life Church, so I'm
Universal
technically a
Church.
minister by the laws of most states. But I met someone who also was. There's a fella at the laundromat. He would do exorcisms like in the area, you know what I mean? And so there might be a laugh to
Bridgewater
that.
Triangle.
Bridgewater Triangle really went into that, which involves a lot of occult stuff that happened around Fall River.
Mm.
I mean, I think a lot of ghost hunting shows actually came out of New England.
Mm.
Like the most
Freetown.
popular one was, I think, out of Fall River, one of the first early ones. My brother knew a few of the guys. Like I actually showed a picture of our friend Luke at like a birthday party of mine, or the graduation party.
Mm-hmm.
And in the picture, Luke has his hat over his face, like his baseball cap over his face. But you see like a screaming kind of skull
Yeah.
in like, and so my brother sent it to these guys. Like they were also kind of a ghost. People would send them stuff and they would try to debunk it and try to think, well, is there somehow light refracting through the nylon in the hat, hitting his face and then reflecting back from the flash of the camera? Cool stuff like that. So there was some legitimacy to that, and they'd sparked the whole thing. And those shows were actually more boring, but also more pleasant. They were just, there was less sensationalism in those.
Yeah, right.
And these folks were legitimately curious. Like they were like, look, I think that's cool. But when
that's so funny. Keith just sent that photo.
Oh, he did. I wish
Yeah.
we could show that.
I know. Oh, that does look kind of creepy.
Yeah, we'll have to post this. Oops. All right, so this is at the graduation where we played, and if you zoom into Luke's
Am I in there?
face,
I'm in there. Oh no, that's not me.
if you zoom into Luke's face, you see kind of like a skull face kind of thing on the
Yeah.
hat.
Looks like a half smile, big nose.
It's kind of strange. It's kind of a
I
strange,
feel like yeah.
And now that could be also our minds.
But it could just be like it pushed up against his face, couldn't it?
That's
Work
possible
into the
too.
contour
Yeah,
of his
that's
face?
totally possible. Right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he's got it like literally pressed up against his face.
So it's kind of moving around the contours of his face.
But it's kind of neat. But we also look for faces. We look for things that are, subconsciously. When we're looking at clouds, that's how we're able to say, oh, that looks like this. That looks like this. I see a face, like a perfectly etched face there for a second. Or at shadows or grains of wood. It's really fun in our faces kind of. But at the same, so anyways, so yeah, I think that's a really fun idea. We have also the space kind of to do. There's all kind. We live in New England too, so there's all kinds of creepy woods and tons of sets.
It would be funny, like I mean, whether it's like a spoof on the actors that are in it, or the people are acting and it's a spoof on the audience.
Right.
Be funny if they did like a Bermuda Triangle one, but obviously didn't go to Bermuda Triangle, but they said they were going to Bermuda Triangle. And I mean, you can't tell when you're on the ocean or
Right.
whatever, right? You go to a pot, and then like in the distance is like a giant like monster that comes out. It could be like some animatronic thing, like kind of far
Yeah,
away,
yeah,
and it's just swimming around over there.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And they're like clueless.
Either they're clueless and they're freaking out on the boat, like, oh shit, this is what's going on here.
Right.
There's a monster.
Mhm.
Or the audience just watching it is like, oh shit, you know, and the actors are just acting. I don't know.
You could do so many cool tricks though. Like you could have the camera down. The camera person has got it. He's like, and they're like, oh, can you get say there's like 4 people on a rowboat or something like that, and not even show anything. And they say, oh, can you get me that flashlight? And he's like, yeah. And he bends down to get it. When he goes back up, like nobody's on the boat anymore.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything.
Yeah.
He's just like, guys, God. And then it could even end right there. That'd be
Yeah.
like a really like neat kind of, you know, and that's spooky, you know, and all you have to do is, I mean, you can just cut it a certain way.
Yeah.
Especially with poor quality cameras. You can
Yeah,
jump
they use
cut.
like those high-end camcorder cameras, I think. Kind of similar to what The Office looks like.
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
They use that stuff.
I mean, even like what we're shooting with now, this JVC, you know, 1080, you know,
it doesn't, but it's a very like it's not a very cinematic look.
Sure. Okay.
It's a very like I don't know how to describe it, but I guess like documentary lighting type look.
Right. Oh, well, they also have like just a posted like light right on top.
Oh, do they?
Of those. Yeah. Usually they have that, or they have something, because they usually have flashlights, but they also have night vision. Like to have like night vision would be pretty cool.
Because usually it's interesting because on those shows, there'll usually be 2 camera people.
Yep.
And one will show the other pretty often.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just looks like they're just rocking a freaking camcorder.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Like I don't see any lighting or anything. I mean, it looks crappy.
Yeah. Right.
That's the point of it. That's why it's scary. You know.
Yeah. You can utilize all kinds of trippy kind of like artifacts or like things that are happening from grain and shadows and say they look like something, you know, or this or that.
I think like
so that makes sense why they use those cameras. Nothing too high def.
Yeah, I love the idea of also being able to use practical effects in it.
Yes,
like
absolutely. I'm all for that. Yeah.
Which is what makes me think like maybe some of the people shouldn't be in on the. Maybe everyone should be acting except for the person that believes that they're. You know, like everyone should be an actor except for the person that's there believing that they're on one of these shows.
Yeah. I'm also thinking though the reality. That'd be hard for us to be kind of mean too. I don't want to.
I know it would be kind of mean.
You know, that would be mean.
But it'd be funny.
We're messing with you, but we're also going to make it look like something did happen.
But I don't know. Is it mean because we're like leaning into what they believe, in the sense that they're there looking for a ghost, and guess what they find? A ghost.
But it's a fake ghost.
I know, but they don't think it is. So they're there finding the thing they were looking for.
What if they confront it and like try to stab it or something?
Well, that's why I'm saying it would be like practical effects, and it obviously you probably wouldn't want to have a human in there, you know, it'd be like some sort of robotic thing, but something that just like flew through the room or something.
Well, that'd be hilarious too, like a botched like joke like that. What if you had an episode of us doing that, and like the preacher ends up like saying like, this isn't just a cross, it like the cross it's like a dagger, and he ends up like cutting the person's throat or something, but they're in like a ghost outfit, and they're like, it's just Johnny, it's just a joke, it's just a joke, you know. And Johnny takes off his.
Oh, you know what else would be funny is if it were like kind of a prank show, in the sense that like, all right, you get the ghost hunter there, that's a real ghost, professional ghost hunter or whatever,
right?
Everybody's kind of in on it, right? And they're like, okay, we got to spice it up a little bit for the studio, we got to make it. So we're going to do some things that are, they look real for the camera or whatever. So like, you got to kind of play along or whatever, right? And you get them to agree to something like that. Then it'd be funny if it was like a ghost that's clearly like on string, like in a sheet, like, woo, you know, and then he's like, whoa, you know?
Right. Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't know. There's so many directions.
There
There's
are,
so
yeah.
many directions.
It's a really fun thing. Yeah, I'm thinking like
I mean, maybe that's the show.
I love accidents too with that. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the interesting part of the show is that every episode goes in a different direction.
Paranormal pranksters or something.
Yeah, but like one of them might not be a prank and it might be a spoof on the audience.
Yeah, right.
You know, maybe the first one, but then after that, once the audience is kind of clued in, maybe like each one has a completely different
Yeah.
objective.
There's always some kind of reality TV thing to them, though, which is cool. So either like, yeah, right. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's good. There's some fun stuff to do there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lots of things are porn. Yeah. Cause I'm thinking also like, what if the person who's like, what if they, I was just thinking like, what if they get like an old priest and he's like a really sweet guy. And he's like, well, you know, we've been talking about this place for a long time, you know, and, my friends and I used to come and throw stones at the window. We'd see people inside, but it'd been abandoned for years. And I can't believe we're finally in here. And he's like, it's kind of
And
why I
then
became
later-
a priest, you know. And then they're like, no, we're really gonna freak this guy out. And like maybe he's talking about like his granddaughters and all this. And then oh yeah, you know. And they're like, oh yeah, pops. You think that's how? And they're making fun of him, but then. Yeah, maybe, and then maybe, you know, it's getting kind of dark, but I was thinking maybe like whatever they make to scare him is so scary that the poor old guy just like drops there, you know, and they're just, you know, that's the episode.
That's terrible.
Well, you know, I don't know.
But it would be more funny if like,
no, I think that's as funny as it gets.
I think it would be really funny if the whole crew thought they were spoofing this old guy, but then something happens to the old. He's really the one in on the joke.
That'd be cool. It'd be kind of neat.
You,
Also,
like,
if he's the
you
one,
know,
or
something
if
happens
he's like the
crazy
serial
to
killer,
him, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, yeah. Or if he's like, it turns out he's like a serial killer. He's like, oh, a lot of people gone missing coming in here. He's like, yeah, well, you know, and they think like
they
they
find it on the computer.
Yeah.
Wanted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When they're like, "Who is this guy? Like, what is he?" And they're like, "What is this wanted?"
Wow.
You know.
Well,
and then they're all like,
yeah.
And then they try to get out, and the doors are locked.
Oh no.
Well, they just
they
like,
don't know
can't get
where
out.
he is.
They just like can't get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. You can make it really creepy. You can do all kinds of things. You would need kind of an older person to be the actor.
Yeah.
For this, I'm also trying to think like, what can we do with it? If Pops were still around, he'd totally do it because he's been in a few things, you know, paranormal things. Even maybe we'll put June online soon. Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to do too. Is get an older person to be your actor. Like Friends is one thing. You can also like kind of direct Friends and get enough takes where you got something good enough sometimes. And
I feel like it's a pretty easy thing to get done.
I think at the
because
most
you're just
simple
looking
level.
for like a dilapidated building that you get permission to film in. They're probably not even going to charge you.
But how do you get the ghosts there?
Like, well, the practical effects, yeah.
You gotta do some seances.
But like, you could
summon 'em.
convince people that there's ghosts there.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if you're not doing that sort of prank show and it's more about like on the audience, like everyone thinks it's one of these Expedition X shows type shows, and it's
what if while
know?
we're filming a reality TV show, a fake reality TV show about people who are trying to show that ghosts are real but kind of know they're not, but it turns out they are real, but we know they're fake, but something real actually happens.
Right. That's exactly what I was saying. Like,
but
I'm saying, what if
real
person?
Yeah, right. So in real life,
the prank is on the person that believes on it,
right?
So if you think about it, like,
but I'm also saying, what if in real life, like that were to happen, ends really quick.
But the funny part would be, I think in that scenario, is so like if you just pranked random people, like there's potential for them kind of freaking out, kind of losing their shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a real ghost hunter who believes that they saw ghosts and have seen them in the past, and you get them there and everybody else is in on it, and they actually show the real ghost.
Oh, something actually
happens,
right?
Actually like tangible that got on film happens, and see their reaction. To like
cool.
some because
Yeah.
it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because if it scared the shit out of them, and they're like, then they probably haven't seen shit.
Yeah.
I'd feel
Yeah.
bad though if they're like, this is the best footage in the history. This is a turning point for,
Yeah, right.
I'd feel kind of bad. It's not.
But
it's
then
not
you look
good.
at the footage and nothing's there.
Or the guy
When they
forgot
look
to
at the
step out.
footage,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be wild.
oh shit, I forgot to hit record.
Yeah. Or the guy forgot to step out of the closet, like he didn't hear anything, or he like fell asleep,
Yeah,
and like something actually came through.
yeah,
Like he comes in after it goes through.
yeah.
Maybe it attacks that guy. I don't know. But
Oh my god, the lens cap was on.
yeah, we heard it though. Yeah,
We have the audio though.
sounds great. Sounds real spooky. Yeah, that's really fun. That seems like a really cool thing to do.
Mm.
Maybe we start writing scripts about like on that or something. I think even the most basic too, that the original idea, like we're making like a fake ghost hunters,
Right,
but a real thing happens at the end.
right.
Like what they're actually looking for actually does come at them, and there's enough funny stuff in between, like to make it all cheesy or corny enough,
Yeah, it just depends
Um,
who the joke's on.
Well, also the writing too, because we really are making, if we're not to hop into the pranking part yet, but let's say we just stuck with that other thing, like that culty, that reality TV show, looking at cults or looking at scary
Mm.
places, whatever. That's really bare bones. That's easy to do, and you can get enough friends. We have enough
Yeah.
like-minded friends to act in it or be in it, and we could do like one episode
Yeah,
and see how it hits.
Yeah.
We could decide. And
because you're filming in a place where there's no one else is, and you're filming in a place where, it's like probably very easy to get in there. In fact, like especially like if you're doing it at night or something, it's probably like nobody's probably got their eye on it. I don't know, or you might be able to get permission.
Mm.
I mean, we could even doll up this place.
It would be
or-
free essentially outside of camera equipment
right?
and getting actors, I guess,
Yeah.
unless we did it.
I think practical effects too can come in.
Practical effects would be
Real, like we can look up different. We'll learn different ways of like
and in a very dimly lit,
Oh yeah, yeah.
a
bad camera.
bad camera and dimly lit.
Absolutely.
Like you could probably do some really great stuff.
We can even have fun stuff like if this camera gets a sensor, if something goes off on this camera, it's gonna activate. You always see that in those shows. Like if this trips up, the camera, it's gonna go to this camera. It's gonna turn on and activate and start recording. This camera, and like, what if like during the scene, you can see certain cameras they've placed, like of something coming up to them. You could even see the lead up to it and have fun just with like
the
tricks
that they don't even see yet.
that they don't see yet, but the cameras are picking it up already. So the viewer knows, well, something actually is there.
Yeah.
They're like, come on out. Like maybe if it's like, the MMA guy, or if it's someone else, like I'm getting a very strong reading. And
What's a shadow?
yeah.
How does something invisible cast a shadow?
yeah. That is a good point.
Only a shadow. Silly.
Yeah, really, but really fun. At the same time, I think there is a part of me that kind of believes in some of it, and where at least wants to believe. It's the perfect line from X-Files. I want to believe. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's probably the case for a lot of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is some kind of excitement, and if anything is true, and it is more spooky things that have happened to me even recently that I won't get into now, but that have kind of moved me in my spiritual beliefs and understandings to things. And that's how it happens. That's kind of how it works. And whether it's nothing or whether it's something, it's still super fun to talk about and come up with tons of ideas about.
Yeah.
What do you think? How are we looking for time?
49 minutes.
Oh wow, yeah, this has been a long one. I think we had a few people on there. Thank you for watching. I think it's good to wrap up. You think?
Yeah. Ready to roll?
Yeah, awesome. We were thinking also of again, this is such a fun topic. And if you have any ideas too, I've been meaning to say, shoot it in, pop it in the chat, or like send us. I think you can send us our emails attached to the channel. Any ideas that you have, or show about ideas specifically around art, but also creating something or making anything, any idea you have, just throw it our way. And if you want us to bring back up discussions of certain things, And if you really think we should try something, or if you have a script ready for a paranormal fake reality TV show, send it our way if you'd like. We will happily collab. But yeah, thanks for watching. Are you good, Kaylee? Anything from you there?
No, I'm just queuing up the jingle.
All right. Well, from Abel, Connor, and Kaylee, good night.
Good night.
Hanging out, just another night of the week. But to be more specific, it's a Tuesday Eve. Got some ideas that just might intrigue. You should come on by tonight. We're spilling the beans.